Hey guys, it's Steve for CollectorMania. We're here doing a video series about our deck builder clinic. This will probably be a two-parter. Essentially, we're going to talk about what we're doing. It's kind of something new we're trying. It's something that we're going to run. I think it starts June 15th. We're going to start around 6 o'clock, so if you're interested, come down, of course. It's basically to go alongside our regular league schedule. So this will be in between this last league that's actually ending today and the next league that'll start, I guess, July, what would that be, 12th? Or is it?
Yeah.
Do we have a week off?
Week,
okay.
yeah.
So anyway, sometime in July, late July. And what it's designed to do is to get everybody up to speed, and that way everybody can kind of play on the same level. What we're going to try and do is, I've had a lot of attention talking to me specifically about building 1v1 decks. That is something that may not be as intuitive as building your normal commander decks for most people. And we'll probably actually do two videos on this. Kylie, the buddy that's actually helping me out, which you've probably seen him in some of our other videos, will be doing like the more multiplayer focused thing. But once again, I'm going to start going over some 1v1 stuff. I've got a pretty good example here today that we're going to kind of go over a little bit. Something that I'm trying to build for the next league myself, and that's Bontu the Glorified. Basically, how I kind of focused on this guy is I came in and picked up this beauty the other day. This is probably one of the only invocations that I actually like the way it looks. It's I think it fits the frame on this one, which isn't a big thing for me if you've ever heard me talk about these before. Not the biggest fan, but I think it works here. So with this 1v1, let's focus on that a little bit. Low converted mana cost has always been a big thing, help here. I know normal EDH is let's play the biggest, wackiest thing. This is supposed to be a little bit more competitive, a little bit more like 100 card legacy. So with that, you know, I've picked out a few spells and cards here that I'd like to focus on a little bit. This is kind of like the beginnings of my deck building. With Bontu, we kind of want to capitalize on her ability, or her or him, I'm not sure. We've gone back and forth about what it is. She wants you to sacrifice a creature in order for her to attack. She's really good stats-wise. She's a 4/6 with Menace, which isn't bad. I mean, that'll get, you know, enough damage to finish the game, especially since they've lowered the life total to 20. So if you're swinging with her and you're activating her ability, you should be good. There's quite a few other ways to steal life in this deck too. So basically, I'm kind of focusing on like a mono black, kind of like control, attrition-y kind of build. So anyway, with that, there's a few creatures here that I've picked out, you know, that I've looked at really quick. Like Blood Pet is a big one. Blood Pet is, here, let's see, I'll pull him up here. I've got the cards over here as well. He is a 1/1 Thrall. He says sacrifice Blood Pet, I keep doing that. Add 1 black mana to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. So this guy's great. Comes out early. He activates, or he self-triggers your Bontu, so he can self-sacrifice himself in order for you to be able to swing with Bontu. So that's a big thing there. Another one that I found is Death Cultist. He is a 1/1 for 1, again. You can sacrifice him, target player loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So that's right along the lines of what you're trying to do. Basically, you just get these guys out early. If you can swing with them, get a little bit of damage in, go for it. Wait until you get Bontu online, and then, you know, when you need to swing with her, just sacrifice one of these guys, and you're good to go. There's a couple other really good ones, like Viscera Seer is a really good, you know, sack and then scry. That way you can just sacrifice anything. You know, if you're backed up against the wall too, you can even sacrifice Viscera Seer himself just to get the trigger. Stuff like that. Gatekeeper of Malakir is a great kind of card that is more for your opponent, but you know, once you use him and maybe swing with him, and once he becomes, you know, obsolete as far as power and toughness goes, you can just sacrifice him to Bontu in order to let Bontu swing in. Flesh Carver, of course, is a really big one. I know that I've never really played with this card 1v1, but I'm interested to try it out. It's got Intimidate, it's a 2/2, it's not bad, makes itself bigger, and then when it dies, it turns itself into a giant creature, you know, depending on how many counters you have on there. And there'll probably be a lot of things that get sacrificed in this deck, so... Blood-Soaked Champion is another really big one that I kind of forgot about. These creatures that kind of can put themselves back on the battlefield, you know, that's amazing. Like, maybe I'll take a look here and see if there's enough zombies in here to include like a Grave Crawler. Bloodghast would be another really good one to include. I know there's one other one that has Shadow that I can't think of, but you know, there's a whole bunch of them. So anyway, there's a lot of cool cards that can synergize. Moving on from that, we've got like Fleshback Marauder. That could be another really cool include in here. It's great because you sacrifice him when he comes in, lets you swing with Bontu. They have to sacrifice a creature. I've kind of focused the deck mainly around sacrifice. Gets around a lot of indestructible, hexproof kind of things. Like I would not want to play Geist Saint Draft against this deck. That is for sure. Yahini is another kind of. Or sorry, I'm going ahead here, but Yahini is another card that I've looked at. That could be a potential switch in Commanders too, so I'll probably try it out both ways. I've been looking at Yahini as maybe a possible 1v1 commander for a while as well. It being a 2/2, having haste, and being able to make itself indestructible is huge as well. So there's that. Some cards that I've also looked at, like Lifebane Zombie. I remember when this card was in Standard, it didn't really make that much of an impact, like people thought it was going to. It did for a little while, and then it kind of petered out. But here, I think it could be a great either sideboard choice or mainboard choice, because there are a lot of, mono green or just green white or even just mono white, 1v1 decks that you'll go up against. And even if he doesn't necessarily have a hand target for his ability, you still, get to look at their hand, and he's still a 3/1 that has Intimidate. So he's not bad, even looking at him that way. Some bigger guys in here that I'm already thinking about including, like Desecration Demon with a theme of sacrifice, and then that's just a giant flyer that can get in for a whole bunch of damage. Phyrexian Obliterator is a huge one. Like that might be a little challenging for me to even pick up. I know I've owned a copy before, but each time I have never really kept it anywhere. But I think in an application like this, it's perfect. I mean, pretty much we're just going to be running a whole bunch of swamps or lands that tap for swamp, so perfect. Moving on from the creatures, we've got a few spells here that I like to focus on, like Despise is a really cool one. Any of those, hand disruption spells like Despise, Thoughtseize is another big one, Inquisition of Kozilek. I would probably run in this type of deck like 3 or 4 of them. Could be fun. There's what's the one? The one that you can discard a black card from your hand and then. Anyway.
Asking the wrong guy.
Yeah. Eric doesn't play a whole lot of black, and I'm not that versed in it either. But cool card anyway. There's a lot of reanimation, of course, in this too. Like Unearth is a really cool one. That's a really fun one. That's really cheap. It just costs 1, and then you can get a creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard and put it on the battlefield. Amazing card, especially in this application, because I mean, you put your blood pet in the graveyard, then you can just use that mana to cast the Unearth, getting back the blood pet for next turn to sacrifice for Bontu again. I mean, that's a great line right there too. And I guess another approach to look at this is you can look at it defensively too. So say you need that blood pet just to block with Bontu. Having a 4/6 indestructible blocker is something to be said too. So I know we're kind of jumping through hoops to make this commander work, but I think it has potential. And like I said, if it doesn't, we'll just throw Yahini in there and pretty much the same theme. Let's see, here's some other spells. Hymn to Turok is a huge one. I know that Eric's brother, Chris, actually had a 1v1 Grizzlebrand deck list for a really long time, and that was one of the key cards that you did not want to see.
I was going to say, he'd know that black discard card.
Oh, I'm sure he would. And I'm really taking a cue from him. I remember that deck and how powerful it was. I kind of want to do something a little bit different, not run Grizzlebrand, but he's definitely a great choice if you're looking to build a 1v1 Commander black deck, so... here's a few other choices here, like Tyrant's Choice. That's a really interesting card from Conspiracy. It does let them kind of have a say in what happens to them, but neither of those choices are good for them. So there's that. Fatal Push is another really big one. That's obviously a newer card. It's getting up there in price. I just looked at it today. I may have traded away my last copy like a dummy when it was like $5. Now it's like 10, so there's that. Oh gosh. Standard. Another really cool card, Guess Verdict. I know back in the day when Blue-Black Zombies was still a thing, my buddy Lauren, I hated this card. I hated it so much. Like, just making you sacrifice a creature, then lose 1 life. Oh, gosh. And then the cool thing with this is if you're backed into a corner, you can even use it on one of your creatures, which is kind of funny to think about. I don't want to lose the life or whatever, but if I needed to just swing in with Bontu and win the game, I will do it. Let's see, here's another... Smother, that's a really good, removal spell. And Pox and Smallpox, like those are great, like just little kind of add-ins here that you're gonna want to sacrifice a creature anyway. Yeah, it comes with I gotta sacrifice a land, I gotta do all this, but I mean, really, do you care? If you're far ahead, you really just don't care at all. The idea is to get your opponent's hand down, beat them down with removal, and just beat the crap out of them basically and just win the game. With that, we've got another reanimation spell. Animate Dead is huge. Just a 2-cost enchantment. Throw it on something big that you throw in the graveyard. Grizzlebrand might be a great include in this deck, as a matter of fact, because right after that we're going to talk about Liliana the Veil. I finally got a copy of this card, which is mainly why I'm looking at even building this. It's way expensive, of course, and I pulled it from what was it in? It was in Modern Masters?
Modern Masters 3, yeah.
Yeah, I can never keep them straight anymore, but that card is ridiculous in 1v1 circumstances. Like, you put that down on turn 3 and your opponent is hurting. There's not really a whole lot that can get around that. And, it's been a long time since I've played against Liliana. I don't think I've ever really played that much with Liliana, but I'm excited to try it out. So with that, that's kind of the cards that I pulled out so far. The second half of this video will probably be more, I guess, focused on what I actually end up putting in the deck, and we'll be looking to see that maybe in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if I'll have the time or resources to necessarily put it together right away. But just looking for these cards, that I wanted to use for the video purposes, I found a whole bunch of stuff that I want to throw in there, like Malicious Affliction. Like, it might be, something that I sideboard out when I am going up against like other black decks, but really cool card. Necropotence, of course, that's not part of this. Toxic Deluge, and now that Damnation's actually reasonably priced, I could pick up one of those. Ophiomancer, I know I've talked about that card a million times. It's one of my favorites still, but getting back to that point, Ophiomancer is a great card in this deck because it creates that 1/1 for you to continually sacrifice, even on their turn. Like, you just keep getting that snake. It's great. So anyway, with that, that's our quick little overview of the Bontu deck and what we're moving towards there. So once again, if you're interested at all, just come check us out on Thursday. We start at 6 o'clock. Starting on the 15th. We'll probably end this first one around 8 or so. We'll try and shoot around there, but really it doesn't matter how long it goes. We have plenty of time to play around with it. And just come talk to me about 1v1 strategies, and we'll try and figure out. There's a million different commanders that you can use for this, and I can suggest to you a whole ton of them. We may even start a segment just exclusively on 1v1 since so many people are interested in it. And if you're interested in multiplayer, go talk to Kylie. He'll be probably doing another video similar to this one, and he'll talk about his process as well. But anyway, that's what we're doing, and like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Thanks, guys.